Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold in the fire. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die when the world's calling you. Legends never die.
The game! Canada conquered! Canada gold at Tokyo 20.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die when the world's calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed,
Julia Grosso from Vancouver to win it for Canada! Canada came! Canada conquered! Canada gold at Tokyo 2020!
Now we still get goosebumps watching those videos, and now we get to hear from Canadian soccer legends, the women that have shaped history. Please help me give a warm welcome to Melissa Tancredi, Steph LeBay, and Christine Sinclair. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. How's it going, Steph?
Great, thanks. Thanks for having us.
Now, it's so great to have you guys in person. We've done this virtually a couple times now. Yeah, we'll have to share microphones, unfortunately. We do have one more microphone out just so fans can get some Q&As in. And if you do want to ask a question, raise your hand and a mic runner will come find you. Oh, we already got a couple over there. Let's start off with a very important question, and it's obviously gold. It's a color that all of us are very familiar with now. You ladies were champions. Has it sunk in yet, Steph? And what did that moment mean for the future of Canadian soccer?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I still watch the video and I still get goosebumps and I still think back, like, did that actually happen? Did we actually achieve that? But I think the more and more that we are in this country and we get to interact with the fans and the people that we really inspired, I think the more that I really realize, like, how big of an impact we really had on this nation. I think so much of this team has gone in, and with the hard work that we've accomplished, and, like, I think just so many people, I think, walking around, like, we hear these stories of, I remember where I was in that moment, and hearing those stories and hearing where people were when they were watching that game and how inspired they were, I think it really shows us, like, the magnitude of what we achieved.
Bright and early, we were all watching that. Christine, we all celebrated that win, especially for you. I think all of Canada felt so proud seeing you finally get that gold medal. Can you take us back to what that moment felt and the support that you've gotten from fans ever since?
I mean, the support from the fans since day one has been tremendous. But to finally bring a gold medal to Canada, to all the people that played before us, for all the young kids. I don't know, like, it hasn't sunk in for me. That moment standing on top of the podium, listening to "O Canada" with a gold medal around your neck with your best friends, is definitely a moment that I'll never forget, and made oh so much sweeter seeing the American flag below ours. Yeah, we're alive. But no, I mean, it's just, for all of us, just a dream come true. I mean, we were young kids dreaming of that moment, and to actually be able to live your dream, it's pretty special.
And Melissa, you were a part of the team in 2012 and 2016, and then 2020 as staff. You told me in a previous interview that you told your dad you wanted to go to a World Cup, and he just kind of laughed. Now you have an Olympic medal, 2 Olympic medals. What does that feel like? What does that mean for you?
You should ask my dad.
Hi, Dad.
Oh, he gets an applause. What is honestly, to be a part of a team that has come so far, I mean, women's soccer was not even a thought at that time, and now to be a part of a team that are Olympic champions and still be involved in this, and we're pushing for more, it's pretty incredible to be a part of this momentum, and definitely a historical moment for Canada soccer. And I mean, it's just the beginning, which is the exciting part. We've broken ground, we've done the impossible, and now let's see where we can go.
No, Steph, we've all seen, you know, the tweets and the memes with the National Minister of Defense. I don't think I've ever seen anyone that calm, trying to stop penalties under so much pressure, laughing at some points. I think that there's a lot that young kids can learn from you in the mental game. What was going through your mind in that moment, if anything at all?
It's a great question. I get asked it a lot. Firstly, I have to say the smile was like quite genuine. I actually was like just super happy in the moment, excited. I think I had a lot of confidence going into that shootout, built from the shootout win that we had in the quarterfinal against Brazil. So I had the confidence in myself, and I had the confidence in the team that we could get it done, and we had already done it. But then, you know, I also knew that it's a long tournament. My team is exhausted. We've gone into overtime twice. And I was, you know, the least exhausted of anyone on the field. So I had to do my best to try to give off as much of a positive, confident body language to the rest of the team. So I really was thinking about that, and like, how can I give confidence to my team through body language? And at the same time, how can I use that to try to give, you know, the confidence that I had to the other team as well, to try to get in their heads and show them how confident I was that I was going to make a save against them. So it was kind of twofold with that. But I think at the end of the day, like, our team was just so confident in what we had set out to do and what the dream was, that nothing was going to get in our way that day.
And what advice can you give to young goalkeepers that, you know, might be under some high pressure situations?
I think my best advice is just like, be confident and be brave. You know, I've made a ton of mistakes in my life, and I have crumbled in the highest of pressure situations, but I've also thrived. And I think at the end of the day, like, there's always going to be people that knock you down or situations that knock you down. But if you continue to be confident in yourself and be brave going at things, anything is possible and you can achieve anything.
Perfect. Now, Christine, there has been a lot of talk of a professional women's league, and I think that a lot of young girls are eager to hopefully be able to play in their hometowns here in Canada. How confident are you in that project, and what would it mean for the future of women's soccer?
Okay. I think for a lot of us, especially a lot of us veterans on the national team, it's the next thing that has to happen in Canada. I think we're the only country in the top, I want to say 20 in FIFA World Rankings that doesn't have a professional environment for their women's players to play in, and it's unfortunate. I'm a firm believer that young kids need to see it, to believe it, and to dream it. I mean, I I was fortunate to like be in an athletic family, and I was able to witness uncles and play. But these young kids need to be able to go to their local stadiums, cheer on their local club teams, and the more I think of it, the more it's not bringing the NWSL to Canada. I think that could be a step, but first and foremost, we need our own standalone professional league here that can truly impact like hundreds and thousands of young girls' lives. So that's the next fight, and we won't stop until it happens.
Prime Minister Sinclair.
Melissa, I'd love to get your thoughts on that as well, because you are very passionate about the growth of the sport here in this country. So what are those next steps?
I mean, you have the right people, Steph Labbé being one of them, in the right positions to bring this league to fruition. We have Diana Matheson, who's working tirelessly in the backgrounds. We need people that support women's football to come forward and put their hand up and be like, listen, I'm willing to take a risk, but you know that in the end, it's going to be the massive payoff. It's going to bring the most professionalism to our sport, but at the same time, it keeps it going. It keeps the feeling. It brings tradition. We talked about tradition. It brings a tradition that we don't have here because we don't have anything for people to go watch. So we need that. We need to keep pushing the sport forward. And right now, we have all the right people doing the right things. It's just a little bit of time. And I mean, even talking to Steph this morning, it's looking very, very positive, and I'm optimistic and really excited to be a part of it somehow. But you know that there's a lot of people around here that are willing to put their money, their time, and really get this going. So very excited for the future.
Amazing. And now I would love, a round of applause for that. I would love to hear from some fans now, so please raise your hand if you would like to ask a question to these ladies. And the mic runner should be going around. We don't have a mic runner.
Oh, I thought it was Kenny.
Okay, we found one. Thank you. So when you go to ask your question, please state your name and then feel free.
My name is Julian, and the question that I wanted to ask you guys was, who was like your favorite player when you guys were young, like kids?
I'm not a kid anymore, Julian, huh? I'm going to say somebody you probably don't know, but his name was Paolo Maldini. One of my favorite. Okay, we got some Italians. Sorry, the Italians in Ontario, they're here. Go on.
Steven Gerrard. I know, anyone. What the heck were you watching?
I'm unfortunately going to continue the trend of having male role models, which I hate. It's going to change. We're going to get the young kids to have female role models in this country. But I looked up to Patrick Waugh and Kelly Rudy. Hey.
I think the question was favorite soccer player.
Oh, favorite soccer player, yeah. Sorry.
Well, the good news is now all the young kids are saying you guys inspire them. So now we've got some female role models for everyone to follow. We've got another question over here.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn, and when you were young, was there anybody that didn't let you play because you were a girl?
I've got a story. I tried out for a men's team 4 years ago, and I made the team, offered a contract, and the league said no. So even when I'm older, I was still told no because I'm a girl. But I kept fighting, don't worry.
I'm Isabella. Do you have any tips for people like me to play soccer?
My tip for you and for all the young kids out there would seriously be to live with the ball at your feet. I grew up practicing in my basement. My parents hated me for it. Sorry to the parents here. In my backyard with my brother. I don't think that it always has to be organized team trainings. So it's what you do in your spare time. It's the time you put in behind the scenes. and the individual work. And the more time you can spend with the ball at your feet, the better.
One more fan question in the left.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Rivera, and I was wondering, when you guys win a game, how does it feel like?
What's your favorite food, Rebecca? It's like walking into a room with all of endless pieces of pizza for me, basically. It's like a feeling that you, like there's the enjoyment of walking out and hearing the crowd, but there's nothing like winning a game. It's like eating a bag of candy and then just going for a run. That's how I would describe it. Don't eat candy. I've never eaten candy in my life. No. Lots of butterflies, adrenaline rush, roller coaster feeling. You hated it. You hate winning. Tell the kids how much you hate winning.
I can't compete with that. It's like eating a bag of candy, then going for a run. I think I'd throw up.
You're eating the wrong stuff. You're eating the wrong stuff.
Now, before we go to the next question, I think something that a lot of these young girls would love to hear is, at what point did you decide you wanted to try to become a professional? And then at what point in your career did it actually seem like a tangible reality? When did you look around and say, okay, I can do this?
I know for myself, it was the '99 World Cup in the U.S. I was fortunate enough to be able to travel down to Portland, Oregon, and watch a couple games. And I remember sitting there as a kid being inspired and in awe of what I was witnessing. And in that moment, that's when I decided I'm playing in the next one. But even at that moment, there was still no professional opportunities. So it wasn't, it was the usual path. It was going to college and then going on from there. But the '99 Women's World Cup really changed everything for me.
For me, it was the 2002 U19 Women's World Cup where I got to watch Miss Sinky and at the time Erin McLeod play in the tournament with her mohawk. Watching that, it was in Edmonton. I was actually lucky enough, I was already kind of starting to get into the national team program, so I was lucky enough to train with them right before the World Cup. And going and sitting in the stadium in Edmonton with 60,000 Canadians, like cheering them on and seeing them down on the field, that's when I was first inspired to be in the stand, see them, and really be inspired to think, like, I want to be down on that field one day. I want to be a part of that team one day. So that was my moment.
I think I was a little bit of a late bloomer. I was in college. But for me, it was the first women's professional league. It was called WUSA, I believe. And you don't remember back then. And I was still in college at that time, and just to see some of my teammates, I went to Notre Dame, some of my teammates be drafted into a professional league. I was like, oh my God, what is this? And I think just seeing them take that step and just being in a professional environment, I was very intrigued. And I actually was drafted. I was in like a random gym, just running on a treadmill, and that's when I was drafted for the first time to St. Louis. So that was when it all came true for me. I had no idea what was going on. I knew something existed. I knew I was intrigued, and yeah, it just happened. So that's the whole point of the professional league. You need it. You need to keep people's dreams going, or else it doesn't become a reality. It's just a thought.
And three completely separate paths, but the three of you literally made history. You changed the landscape of soccer for this country. What do you think this generation of players had in them? Why was this team so successful?
I think for me, it's really hard to talk about the success of the recent years without talking about the work and the dedication that went in like 15, 20, 30 years before us. Those players really laid the foundation for what we were able to achieve. We would have never been able to achieve what we did without the players that played in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. They really built the foundation of the program. They fought for things that we now are just kind of given. And they really went through the hard times to build, I think, that deep-rooted Canadian DNA that we talk about a lot. So what they did to really build the program leading into the 2012 team that made Olympic history there and Canadian soccer history, they really are the ones that not only inspired the next generation, but really laid the foundation to allow the rest of us to live out our dreams.
Drops mic. And you're all very familiar with John Herdeman and Bev Priestman, two incredible coaches. How important is a coach? How important is it for young kids to listen and believe in their coaches?
You think they're good?
Just a little.
No, so I'm a firm believer that every coach has something to offer. Because not every coach that you're going to have is going to be John or Bev. I've been through it. I've had some not so amazing coaches, but if you go into every situation believing that every coach has something to offer, you're able to get the most out of that situation, especially as a kid. I know sometimes the coaching isn't always the greatest, but yeah, if you can grasp at something that the coach has to offer, you can improve. When I think of John, he acquired a completely broken and devastated team that had just finished dead last at a World Cup. And then not 8 months later, we were on the podium. And he gets so much credit. I think he's one of the most amazing men, not only just coaches that I've ever had. He has the unique ability to get the most and the best out of every individual, and I think you see that now on the men's side with the way they're blossoming. And then Bev just took the team and we're flying. The way she's able to have our team play to our strengths, and I think we showed that in Tokyo, that we defend for our lives. We never give up on each other, and we have killer counterattacks, and we just played to our strengths. So that was a long answer. I'm sorry. What was the question? I'm tired. I'm working on three.
Now, Melissa, I would love to hear from you as well. I mean, you're still so involved in the soccer world despite retiring. Why is it so important for you to still be involved, to still talk to these kids, to still try and foster this new generation of female players?
I mean, it's a privilege to still be involved, number one. I think I'm so passionate about this team and this sport, and to be able to live that out still every single month and go on the road with the team. Obviously, it's a special position I'm in, but I think to be able to see where this team has gone in the past, 4 years is incredible to me. I think to be able to push the young ones, to remind them where our team was and who's worked really hard for where they are right now, exactly what Steph said, a lot of these things they're given, right? They're kind of entitled to a point, but it's the reminder that this team has such a strong foundation, has such a strong tradition that, all of you guys have probably watched us for years and years. And I think to see all of that hard work come and build a proper program, and a program that's going to be world-class for years and years and years, but I still want to be a part of that growth. I still desire to be a part of that growth and help in any way I can. Basically, that's what it is. My heart is with this team. It's going to be hard when everyone that I love leaves, but that's when I'll be tested. But at this point, I'm very, very excited and happy to be a part of it. I'm proud. Oh, thank you.
Every single answer deserves an applause. And Steph, I would love to know as well your next steps and how you're going to be involved with the program moving forward, and what your plan is to still continue to help the growth of women's soccer in Canada.
I'm going to be their biggest cheerleader, cheering the team on. And I'm continuing to fight the fight here in Canada, to continue to fight to bring a women's professional league to this country. I think it's really important that the people, as I talked about, the people who have paved the way, the people who have put the program on the map, the people who have really like put Canada Soccer on the global map of soccer, that they are the ones that are leading the charge. If we want to create what we truly can, a world-class women's professional league that attracts the best players in the world, we don't want to create a second-tier league. We don't want to create a league that just kind of has players where we then send them off to bigger and better leagues. We want to create one of the best leagues in the world here in Canada so that we can bring home the best players in the world. And I truly believe that to do that, we need the people's voices, the people advocating for it that have built the program. So I'm continuing to push to have more women involved, to have women's voices at the table, to be advocating for this, because we are the ones that understand the game. We know the women's game inside and out. We are the ones who have had to leave this country to go build the program. So now we want to come back and make sure that our voices are heard, and we are the ones that are building this league.
I think someone turned the volume up on Steph's mic.
Steph for Prime Minister. Now, do we have any other fan questions?
Hi, my name's Mayette. How do you keep a positive mentality trying to come back from an injury?
I've been lucky.
I was probably the most injured. Okay. Yeah, that's the hardest part. I think the most important thing is not to lose connection with your team. I think that's the biggest thing, where people can kind of just seclude themselves and just get down on themselves alone, and that's a rough ride. I think it's to stay involved, stay around your team, go to training, still see it, still remind yourself why you love it, and that'll just push you to try to get back on the field even faster.
All right, raise your hand if you have a question. Oh, perfect.
Hi. I want to say thank you for all the young ladies across the country that are playing now because of you. And I have a question for you. I run an organization that helps support kids all across the country. We have about 50,000 kids participating that maybe can't afford to participate in soccer and in sports. And I wanted to ask you a question about what it really takes for a young lady to, maybe that comes from nothing, to find her way and find her path so that she can follow her dreams and inspire some of the young kids here through that. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and for all the little girls across the country that are playing because of you. And also, we have a huge debt to you for creating soccer in Canada to be something very special. So thank you.
I definitely don't have the answer to your question, but I think for all of us, it doesn't matter what your background is, where you come from. It starts with that fire inside of you. It starts with that passion, and just like growing from that. Like I explained earlier, when I was a kid, I mean, I grew up in Burnaby, soccer wasn't a huge thing, but you could not get a ball off my feet. I was that total dorky kid that you hear about where parents are like, when it's dark, come inside, because I was out kicking a ball against our backyard fence. So if you are truly passionate about something, you'll find a way. And the programming within this country is at a point where if you're good enough, you'll be found and you'll be given an opportunity. But yeah, it starts from that burning sensation inside that drives you.
I think with that too, as someone like facilitating that, continuing to provide a safe environment where kids can come and explore and make mistakes but aren't scared to fail. So creating that environment so that if a kid is starting to play when they're 18 years old, like a Vanessa Gilles, or if it's somebody when they're young, just trying to learn a new sport, I think just creating these environments where kids feel safe to try new things, to fail, and get better, and continue to follow that dream.
We've got another question on the left.
So, why was soccer the thing that you wanted to be when you grow up?
I think for me, I was in a lot of things when I was younger. I was running track, playing volleyball and soccer. I think what made me choose, well, one, my parents were tired of driving me everywhere, so they were like, you need to choose one. And then what made me choose soccer is that I didn't like the feeling of track. I didn't like the nervous feeling I got with just by myself and running. I liked my team. I liked my friends, and they all happened to be my best friends were on the soccer team. So that's pretty much why I chose soccer. And obviously I love the game. I love playing any sport, but that was definitely my top sport that I chose. So basically, find some friends and follow them. That's what I would say. Still got them, unfortunately. Yeah, or be a leader.
And Steph, Christine, what made you guys decide that soccer was the sport?
I'm a lot like Tank here. I grew up playing absolutely everything, and until I was 12 or 13, I was convinced I was going to be the first female in the big leagues playing for the Blue Jays. So
Still time.
there's still time. I can still, no, seriously. Yeah, growing up as a kid, baseball was my number one sport. And then eventually soccer and baseball the season started to overlap, and I was forced to choose one. And like I said earlier, you got to see it to believe it. And there weren't any females in the big leagues, so I chose soccer.
I was the same, played every sport possible growing up. Hockey was my first love. I wanted to be just like my older brother, and got to the point where the boys were going to start to shower. I was going to need my own locker room. So I decided to go, same thing, where all my friends were. It was a social decision. And then I actually kind of have a little bit of a blend of like, I really love the team sport aspect, but part of me, I think, is an individual athlete. So I think that's where I really thrived and fell in love with being a goalkeeper, because I was able to be part of the team sport, but I had this individuality and this ability to kind of be my own position within this team.
That was actually going to be my next question, because I think a lot of kids dream of growing up and scoring the goals. At what point were you like, I want to be the one that gets like these fast flying soccer balls coming towards me?
I actually just kind of got thrown into the position. I played community first when I first started playing, and then when I was 12 years old, I wanted to try out for a rep team. So I went to the tryouts. We were doing a shooting drill in the tryout, and the coach said, does anyone want to go on goal? Myself, along with like 8 others, put our hands up. So we rotated through in the shooting drill, and at the end of the tryouts, the coach came up to me and he said, we really want you on this team, but we want you to be a goalkeeper. So I don't know what I did in that tryout. I must have been like the one that was the least scared or the most crazy or whatever it was. But it did something in that for some reason made me stand out as a goalkeeper, and from then became a goalkeeper.
Amazing. And now you're responsible for one of the coolest penalty shootouts I think any of us have ever seen.
But now I signed up for my local adult league, so I'm going to be playing adult league soccer this fall, and I will be the number 9 striker. So I'm going to learn from these two and go score some goals now.
Now, Christine, in 2003, you had the chance to go to the World Cup, and you were part of the highest placement up to this point. You reached the semifinals, and now 20 years later, you'll be able to live that again. What does that feel like?
Like I need a wheelchair. Wow. No, it's been quite a journey. I think back to 2003, and from what I can remember, no one expected us to do that well. No one cared that we did that well. And I remember being a teenager just being like, I don't know what the big deal is. This is easy. Like, we're in the semifinal of the World Cup. Cool. Not knowing that, like you said, 20 years later, we've never been back. And that's the one thing that still is like burning in me, is the World Cup and the disappointments we've experienced. And I say disappointments, like we're losing in semifinals or like it's not the worst thing in the world, but we have high expectations, and we're out to try and prove to the world that what happened in Tokyo was no fluke and that we're here to stay, and that, yeah, we can do it at a World Cup too.
We have a couple of online questions as well.
Yeah. So a few of the online questions we have for starters is, what soccer players inspired you guys the most growing up?
Well, Steph's just going to answer with hockey players.
Kelly, Rudy, Patrick Waugh.
I think we already asked this question. Malzini for Tancredi.
That person should have been at the start of the show.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Now, who is the best female player to date, in your opinion? Other than yourselves?
Not including Sinky.
I mean, I'm going to go with two. Sam Kerr and Kira Walsh. An Aussie and an English woman. Right now. Did you ask about right now? Like today? Yeah. That's my now.
I was going to say Walsh as well. I think she had an unbelievable Euros, and I think she's like a highly underrated player.
Another question is...
Oh, wait, I've got an answer.
Oh, here we go.
Lena Oberdorf. No one's heard of her, it's fine.
German.
Another question was, has Sinclair ever played goalie ever in her life?
Oh, heck yes. I'm pretty sure I'm like the fourth on the national team. But honestly, in like high school, I played goalkeeper in high school soccer because like high school soccer is, it is what it is. And I played in net.
Were you any good?
I played in net.
She probably was the keeper of the year.
Does anyone else from the audience have questions?
We've got one here at the front.
What would you say motivated and inspired you when you were younger to keep going through struggles?
I think for me, it was like, in a sense, a little bit of trial and error. Like, I think at the beginning, it was really hard when challenges and adversity came. But the more that I overcame them, I think the more that I built the confidence around being able to see them as something that was going to make me stronger. That was really hard to see when I was younger. But I think the older I got and the more I was able to face challenges and get through them and see the hard times like pass, I think the more confidence I had when hard times came or when pressure came, whatever it was, I was able to look back on my past and say, well, I got through that, so I can get through this. So I think it's like a constantly forming thing that you just build confidence with over time.
And Steph, you have opened up in the past about mental health. How important is it to work on your mental game, especially as a very young player?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. We didn't really talk about it when we were younger. It wasn't a big part of the game. But that's something that I remember when John Herdman came into the program that he really started to emphasize was the work that we do on the mental side of the game and how important that is. And it's no secret, like when pressure comes, when high intensity moments come, we have to be well equipped to have the tools to be able to face those with the confidence to get through them. And so I think for me, like, mental health is one thing, and I think too often the stigma around it is that it's a weakness. And it's really hard for players to open up and talk about it because we're scared to be viewed that, you know, if I talk about my mental health or I talk about the fact that I'm struggling, I'm going to be plagued by this. And a coach is going to think that I'm not strong enough or I'm weak and I'm not going to get playing time or I'm not going to get selected. But I think it's really important for me to continue the conversation and change the conversation around opening up about mental health and talking about your struggles actually makes you strong. And it allows you to get through really, really hard times. And the tools and the resources that I've been able to gain through my challenges, they've made me the strong, resilient goalkeeper that everybody was able to see with a smile on my face in the most high intense of pressure situations.
Now, Christine, what advice would you give the next Christine Sinclair?
No, I mean, it comes back to what I've said a few times, and it's about finding your passion and what drives you and what motivates you. And for me, I was fortunate to find sports at a very young age. I was fortunate to find soccer. I was fortunate to have an older brother that I could constantly compete with. So my advice for the youngsters is, it kills me to say, but it doesn't have to be sports. It doesn't have to be soccer. But just to find something that you are so passionate about that, like, it's the thing you think about when you go to bed. It's the thing you think about when you wake up in the morning. I mean, I honestly don't think I've worked a day in my life because I'm so passionate about what I do. And yeah, so it's just give it everything you got, find what you're passionate about. And I mean, all three of us are up here. We're living proof that sometimes those wild dreams you have as a kid sometimes come true, but it does take a lot of work and an effort, but it is achievable.
We've got a couple more fan questions.
I am just so very proud of all you have done. I'm so proud to be Canadian watching you, and I'm thrilled Christine's finally done a book. Yeah. I would like to know if I'm very pumped for that. I'm wondering if the Canadian women's team were to ever play the Canadian men's team, how much you think you would beat them by? Because I'm sure you would.
I hope they heard that.
Well, I don't know. That's a hard one.
Like at least
5? I would say it would be closer than 5, but I'll go 1 or 2. I mean, she scored like 300. No one knows how many she scored, so that would be a good game to watch, though.
Is
I'd
someone
come out of
listening?
retirement.
Can we set that up?
Yeah, I'll come out of retirement. Where you at, Daniil? Coming for you.
All right, where's our next question?
Our mic guy's gone.
Oh.
All right, so my question is, how do you believe in yourself even when times get hard, times get rough? How do you just maintain a clear-headed mind and just believe that you can accomplish what you want to accomplish?
That's a hard one. You're the mental one. Yeah, you should be taking this one. Yeah, that's your expertise.
I think it's something that you have to work on over time. Working on it's, as we talked about before, like the mental game. I think it's believing in yourself despite all odds. I think one amazing story that came out of Tokyo was, going into that Olympics, nobody would have picked us to win. Internally, we would have, and I know people in Canada probably would have picked us, but outside of the borders of Canada, nobody was picking us to win. They were picking the US, Sweden, Japan, Brazil, Great Britain, you name it, they were picking them, not us, to win. But we had a burning desire to win, and we had that goal set. So I think it's like no matter what people tell you, no matter what other people think, if you believe in yourself, no matter what, you can achieve the impossible. So just like set your dreams, set your goals, believe in yourself no matter what. If adversity comes, if one door closes, you'll find another way. Just follow that passion, follow that dream, and don't let anything stop you.
I think that is one of the amazing things about Canada Soccer is that it is hard. But you ladies and the men's team are living proof that it can happen. You just have to be stubborn about your dreams. Now, do we have any other questions?
I know this is a little off topic, but who do you think is the GOAT of all time, Messi or Ronaldo?
As he's wearing a Barca jersey.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey.
That's true. I'm gonna go ahead and answer that question. But I'm gonna just I'd like to rewind it because right now he's not doing too well. But I'm a Ronaldo gal. I like a Ronaldo. Sorry. I know. You can't win. You can't win.
100% Messi.
And the tiebreaker?
I'm gonna have to put my vote. I'm putting my vote with Sinky. As in Christine Sinclair, not Messi.
Do we have any other questions from the audience? No more questions. All right, ladies. Now, I would like to get your thoughts. Obviously, we're all so proud of the men's team and them going to Qatar. What do you think we're going to see from the men's team out on that pitch?
Equal pay. If I can be somewhat serious here, no. If I know John Herdman the way I do, what Canada will see is a team that will fight for anything. They'll never give up. They'll be the most united group in that tournament, and I wouldn't be surprised if they caused a few upsets.
And now, before we let you ladies go, I would love for each of you to talk about one memorable highlight, one favorite moment that you've had on the pitch and off the pitch with the Canadian women's team.
Well, off the pitch, we can't talk about. I'm like,
My off the pitch is easy because I'm going off the pitch as a player, but watching from the stands Tokyo 2020 happen, that was, I mean, you probably heard me screaming like there's no one in the stands, so it's just me. But then I cried like a proud mother. Like now I know how my mom and dad feel like in my family. It's just, I cried endless. I was so proud to see that come and happen to for this team, and that moment was unbelievable for me. I think that was my best off-field moment. I think my on-field moment has to be that game against the U.S., the semifinal. I'm going to tie that in with winning the first bronze medal. I think what that did for our team, for Canada Soccer, for us, I mean, that was the moment for me, honestly, as a player, for sure. And seeing this one just do crazy things that no one's ever done before. Still doing it. Keep clapping for her. She's unbelievable.
I'm going to combine my on and off as one moment, and it was the opening game of the 2015 World Cup in Canada. And just, it actually had nothing to do with the result, but just being able to be a part of that moment for our country, to have been on the team for such a long time and to have the privilege of experiencing that, walking out in front of, 60-odd thousand fans. It's just a moment that I didn't think was going to happen in my career. And just being able to share that with my family, with my best friends on the team. That's one of those that when I'm done playing, I'll look back and be like, that was pretty special.
It's this moment. It's right now. You're living it. On the field, there are so many. I'm going to be super cliche and say it was making some saves in the gold medal game and the penalty shootout. But I'd say, to be honest, one of my most memorable games had to have been the quarterfinal against Brazil. I I was dealing with a pretty bad injury, but that game I felt like was a rugby match for me, and I was getting like battered and bruised and hit around everywhere. But it was one of my favorite games because as a goalkeeper, we always strive to be able to like stand up tall in those moments where a team needs you. And that was a game where I really felt that I was able to do that for the team. So I felt like in that game, I just like nothing was going to get by me, and I felt, I just felt so strong in that game. So it's one of my most memorable games where I was able to stand up for the team. Off the field, it's honestly the simplest things as like sitting around the dinner table and having the dumbest conversations with my best friends and just laughing about like the most terrible things like that I don't even know. But it's just like those moments. And that's what I miss the most about being retired is just like sitting around the lunch table or the dinner table with your best friends, just having those conversations and making memories.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for sharing these stories, for making everyone laugh, and for bringing back gold. I think we cannot thank you enough for what you've done for the sport. And thank you so much to all of you for coming out to the All-State Soccer Show. It was an absolute pleasure to finally see everyone's faces in person. And please join me in giving another massive round of applause to Christine Sinclair, Melissa Tancredi, and Steph LeBay.